All right, guys, Jeff here. Just going to do a real quick tank valve repair here. I've got one that is just running, and you can hear it. If I get close enough, you can hear it. And kind of the telltale sign of this is that, you know, if you were to raise this float as high as it could go, it's still just letting a little bit of water out. So something in top of this is failing. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. Tank valve replacement is about as easy as a job as it gets from plumbing standpoint. This is certainly something that most DIYers can do, and usually they are toolless. So we'll get into it here in just a second. All right, guys, so I really like the Fluidmaster product. These are super simple, they're universal, they're toolless. And it's going to replace, as you can see, pretty much any one of these that you can find. We're going to go ahead and get into it and just show you how to replace them, but I really like the way that these Fluidmasters come, and you can see all kinds of simple things to do. So we're going to just go through that real quick and include you in here on this repair. Right, so the first thing to do is just to go ahead and drain the tank. While you do that, of course, you want that you want the water to be turned off so it doesn't fight against you. And so this one just has a quarter turn valve down here around the back of the toilet, and I can just really quick shut that off so you can hear that the water's not running anymore. I'm going to go ahead and give it a flush, open up that flapper, and I'm just going to keep the flapper open and just try to get as much of that water out as possible. When you're doing the tank valves, as you can see, even with the flapper all the way open, there's still quite a bit of water in there. So what I do is I put just a little bucket, and I need to go get that, put that little bucket underneath this where we're going to take it just to catch that water, try to avoid as much of a mess as possible. Okay, so really good way to hold this thing while I'm down here. Let's see if that works. There we go. So really, again, these are toolless kind of replacements. As you can see, I just got to take that nut off there and then get that tank free. So that's the water supply. It's a compression or a flange fit. We'll see with the rubber seal on it. So we'll see, but that's why these are toolless. So big oversized nuts there to wrench on, and we'll get that off and show from there. Went ahead and got the water supply line off. That had a little water that drained into that. I got the nut off here that's holding in the tank valve. You will see that I did use a set of channel locks just to break that. That was on there kind of tight, and for my hands reaching up underneath here was hard. So there's still water in the bottom of this. When I pull this up, that's when that water is going to go down. Hopefully this bucket I got there is big enough, and it looks like it will be. And there you go. So now that is out. I'll go ahead and pull this whole tank out, this tank valve here. And that's that. And it just comes out just like that. So that's the old one. Somewhere on top of here, this was failing for us. So I'm going to keep it right there for reference as I install the new one, because it was installed at the right height. So I'm going to keep everything there for reference just so I can get this one dialed in and then only have to micro tune it rather than do it. So just starts by basically putting it in. Same thing, we're just going to put it in just like this. It goes down in that hole. Get everything oriented the same way. So down in that hole, and then this tube here, same thing. You're just going to hook that up. That's just your overflow, and now it looks like I'm going to have to use a different style clip here for that, so I'm going to need both hands for a second. Okay, so this one has a different style clip than the one that I just took off, but they're pretty universal. It does slide over that. And then this one just has a little barb fitting that goes on this hose, and you need to make sure that this is lined up and going straight in that, because this is how you get the tank to fill once the flapper shuts. And that's important there. The other thing I noticed on this one, we're going to have to see how high this one was. So it was actually a couple inches higher. So that's where you simply adjust this by turning it and twisting it. You can see that lengthens it, and we're going to get that to the same height here. probably one more turn, and then we're just gonna look. Sometimes you do have to kind of cut these hoses here, just because they're a little, you know, you don't want that, you don't want this, you know, bent and hitting the top of that tank. You know, it can, every time it goes on and off, it's gonna rub on there, and who knows, maybe work its way out of position. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this back off, if I can get it off. There you go. And I'm just gonna cut off, you know, a couple inch or two off the end of that, and then that way you'll get a more natural bend to it. And so that's all I cut off, about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. And put that back in there and slide that back in. So anyway, you can see that goes on pretty simple. Slide that back in place. And then what you notice too, this one has a variable height as well. So this little tank valve, we're going to get that dialed in to where we want that. And we'll see. We're going to see how this all works. So now, second thing you do is simply put this, all right, where'd our little bottom piece go? Hang on just 1 second. Okay, so we went ahead and got that all cinched up and tight. These little micro adjustments here help you determine how high you want that water to flow. And then of course this is your overflow protection. This is what fills the bowl. But if this fails and the water just runs, you want this lower than any other orifice in here. So definitely like your handle. So this is about, my guess is about 1 inch or so, ½ inch lower than that. So if the water continued to run, that's your safety valve, just to have the water run down the toilet rather than run down the wall or under the floor. So I've got this pretty well dialed in. As you can see, as that water level comes up, it starts to raise that float, and next thing you know, it'll get enough water in that tank to fill this up and shut that off. Last thing you want to do, of course, is when you seat the lid on this, just make sure nothing's in contact with it. You know, any kind of contact on that will disrupt how it functions. So last thing is just to kind of check that, and then I'll go down below and then just make sure there's no leaking coming from the angle valve or the supply. So there it goes, shuts off, super nice level. Water's below, good bit below this. You don't want that to be close to where then the water's just gonna run and this will never shut us off. So let's just check down here, make sure we don't have any water dripping. And I'll kind of reach up in there, feel everything feels dry. So that's what we want. That's it. Total run time on this is about 8 minutes. And if you didn't have to film it, you could do it faster. So anyway, a super easy do-it-yourself kind of toilet tank repair there. So perfect.